What do you think of that cup there, Tiff?
What does that cup say?
It's our 303 barbecue logo.
Oh, of
Heck
course.
yes.
Of course.
Heck yes. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't do this. Hold on.
Oh.
First day on the job. You'd think I would know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I guess everybody's entitled to at least once or twice.
You know what? Yeah. I wanted to stream this on Instagram, and I forgot to start the Instagram one.
Yeah.
But it's going right now. Just getting it fired up.
All right.
And we are live on Instagram. Well, here we go. Welcome to another Tuesday evening, I guess, chat. What are we going to call this, Tiff?
I don't know. We need to call it something.
I know. We need to come up with a name. So I guess before we do anything, maybe we should put that in the comments, guys. Give us something that we should call this. Is this a power hour? Is this just a Tuesday evening? Like they got Monday night football. Is this Tuesday night? Tiff and Jim. What's up, Ron, Kristen? Okay. Guys, welcome to this live stream. I love this thing. I love what we've got going on here, Doc. The idea of this interaction that we have and coming through and helping people get metabolically healthy, help them fix problems that they might have thought were otherwise chronic and progressive, and they get stuck. They feel hopeless and they feel helpless. And so as a brief moment, let me take a moment just to introduce myself. My name is Jim Grasser, and I was sick. I was very sick. I had type 2 diabetes. And I love saying it that way. I had type 2 diabetes. I have reversed it, as in I'm in remission from it. I've reversed it. I had a 12.2% A1C. I now have a 5.2% A1C, and I have been completely unmedicated for about 18 months or so. I also had really bad cholesterol, like really bad. 459 LDL kind of cholesterol.
Crazy.
Roof. And I'm no longer medicated for that. I no longer take blood pressure medication or anything like that. I somewhat fixed the problem, and I did it through food. Along that path, I decided to talk to my mom about this and my mother-in-law about this. At this point in my life, not only have I reversed type 2 diabetes, but my mother has, as has my mother-in-law. They both reversed type 2 diabetes. My mother-in-law was on insulin therapy. She was giving herself insulin every day, and a lot of it, like 60 units a day. And she no longer has any diabetes, any signs of it whatsoever. Her doctor actually specifically used the word reverse. And I started talking about this on social media, and it kind of took fire. And I've gotten to meet a lot of people along the way, people like Dr. Tiffany. And so, Tiff, that was my introduction. That was me introducing myself. Tell everybody who I get the pleasure of learning from tonight. Who are you?
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that intro every time you do it. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I love the name ideas. We appreciate that because we haven't thought about it. So I am literally a lifestyle and family practice physician medicine, family practice and lifestyle medicine physician. So double board certified, and I practice, deal with patients, writing prescriptions. And you know what? I'm just the doctor who's tired of writing them. That's why I'm here. I'm tired of seeing people on prescriptions and then needing side effects for prescriptions and then not looking better. And yeah, they may get those numbers down by all those medications, but honestly, they still weren't looking good. So there had to be something else. And so that's how I ended up coming across somebody on social media. Yeah, as crazy as that sounds, I was up there actually just talking about lifestyle medicine, making lifestyle changes. And somebody was like, hey, have you heard of these type of products to even try to help your patients, your clients? And, of course, I thought, oh, that's a bunch of kooky mess. But actually, I started taking the products myself, started seeing some good results, getting off of my blood pressure medicine, helping my family actually get off of his insulin, my brother, his metformin, I think he even might have been Trulicity too. Those types of things. That's what actually made this something to be on Tuesday Facebook Live for. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, so I'm going through and I'm kind of sharing these people's ideas. I love this. I don't know if you see that, guys. I'm sharing the ideas of what people are thinking we should call this. Dr. Tiff, you just said something that I didn't know. I didn't know that your brother had type 2 diabetes and that he was on insulin himself.
Oh,
I didn't know
yeah.
that. Or maybe I did know that. I don't remember us. I don't know. Boy, if we did talk about that, I'm flabbergasted that I wouldn't have remembered that. That is amazing to me. And it kind of leads me to a question and a part of the segment that I want to start introducing in this live stream. And I don't know, let's call it hard-hitting questions. The kinds of questions that a random Joe Schmo might want to ask a doctor. And see, I'm on this side of the camera, and so she can't get to me. So I'm gonna. What I think is appropriate. I actually have talked to Dr. Tiffany about this and asked her, hey, I think I want to start asking you hard-hitting questions that people want to know. About what is it like looking through. Look at this problem through your lenses. What's it like? And the question that I have, and I really haven't actually fully put together the question in my head. So I'm going to kind of go with this. I should have done better at practicing this, but it seems to me that you got your education from and let me lay out the thing that's going through my head. Okay. And hear me out first. It seems to me that you went to school at a major institution. Obviously you got your doctorate there and you did all your education, but to the common dude like myself who's questioning modern day pharmaceutical industry and the modern day medicine and the healthcare system, which some of us have affectionately dubbed the wealth care system. Like, it seems to me that, maybe your schooling, your literature and stuff like that was funded by big pharma, right? And then, or the pharmaceutical industry, I guess I'll be appropriate, the pharmaceutical industry. And then maybe, the literature that you continue to read has their hands kind of into the pot, right? And then that they would fund places like the American Heart Association, the American College of Cardiology, and the American Diabetes Association. They would be heavy donors to them. In fact, in 2012, the American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology revised their guidelines for preventative heart healthcare, right? And there were $521 million in donations that year from non-government and non-membership places. It sounds a lot like the pharmaceutical industry. And of course, as a doctor, it seemed to me that your hands are somewhat tied. Like, you have to kind of abide by those. Otherwise, you're a doctor standing on an island. Now, I guess let me get to the point. Let me get to the question. I think there's this misconception that all doctors have maybe not malicious intent, but they're greedy. They're looking for the money. They've got big pharma in their back pocket telling them, hey, prescribe this and we'll give you a Lamborghini, something like that. Can you just talk to this point? Do you kind of understand the question that I'm kind of getting at here? If I got close enough for you?
Yeah, I think you got right on down that street. Yes. Well, you know what? As far as the medical schools being funded, I don't know enough about that. I know my schools weren't funded by a big pharma. I went to historically black colleges, university, and we would have liked some more money. So no, I know we didn't get funding from big pharma, but the guidelines that we actually use to treat these metabolic conditions are from, the ADA, the American College of Cardiovascular Disease. They're all from those organizations that, yes, we do know that they do get funded by big pharma. And so the misconception that, we're getting paid by big pharma, let me tell you, primary care doctors are not. We're not getting paid. But
you don't have a Maserati in your garage?
Man, if I was, no. But do we have pharmaceutical reps that come and try to talk to us about these things to encourage us to prescribe them? And then we have guidelines that say this is what you need to prescribe for this, what you need to prescribe for that. Yes, we do. Do I get faxes from pharmacies saying, okay, this person's been diagnosed with diabetes, they need to be on a statin? Yes, I do, every time. Those are the guidelines. And we're held to those guidelines. When we go to recertify and have to do our board testing, that's what we're being tested on. So unfortunately, yeah, people who are in traditional medicine that haven't had their eyes open or taking that red pill, like I like to say from the Matrix, and they're still eating that fake steak just okay, they're going to keep doing these things. But I don't think it's from a malicious intent. Not everybody. Of course, there's some bad doctors out there. Heck, I did it for a good 18 years. before I knew better. And now I know better, so I do better. I ended up getting board certified in lifestyle medicine, which is about going to the root causes of conditions by using our lifestyle. So you do that first. You don't prescribe first. So that's a whole subset, a whole specialty of physicians that are doing just that. And you have functional medicine providers, you have integrative medicine providers, and these people are not doing medications first. In fact, they're doing everything else first. So there's doctors out there. I may look like I'm all that special because I am special, but I'm not by myself. But I can understand the lack of faith and trust when you go to a doctor and that's the first thing you get is a prescription. Because unfortunately, when you're running a busy practice and you have 30 people piled in there and somebody's coming in asking about a complaint, another complaint, it's like, take this drug because I need to move on to the next patient. I'm going to be real. I've been there. Is that bad medicine? That's not great medicine. That's not great medicine. And so that's what allowed me to reevaluate what I was doing myself. And so that's why I'm here.
Well, and to that point, I think, I was in a very blue collar world versus you're in a very white collar world, right? The blue collar side of things, we would go to work and we're just shoved. You're just kind of pushed along like you don't have a choice. This is your workload for the day. And I think there's this filet mignon kind of thing with doctors, right? You guys stroll in at 10 and you leave at 2. You spend half the day on the golf course. You eat nothing but filet mignon. I know, obviously I'm dripping in sarcasm, but I mean, if anything, you probably have less free time than I do. Is that, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up, right? But is that reasonably accurate? You put in your hours. You're part of the same working machine that we're all part of, right? Is that?
Oh, yes. Oh, 100% so. And it's not, especially for primary care docs, you can't just work your shift and go home. It's the messages. It's the labs. It's something urgent that I have to call a patient or their family on. And yes, that stuff runs right into my evening time. I mean, still does. And so having to find work-life balance, physicians need to. There's a high risk of burnout. I mean, patients are getting tired of going to see doctors. And you know what? Doctors are getting tired of doctoring. You can look up that study too. It's a horrible trend that's happening, and understandably so.
Okay. So here's the deal. I want to say thank you, first off, to everybody listening. We got, about 50 people right now in here on all the different platforms. We are live. We're live right now on a lot of different platforms. We're live on Instagram, Facebook, obviously, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. We've got viewers on just about all of those right now. And so if this is something that is exciting to you, the ability to actually kind of talk and interact with an actual medical doctor about real medical problems and hopefully find a solution that actually benefits you, and you think this is worthy of sharing and you want to tap into a doctor sitting here, just be willing to help us out, then invite people into here. I would encourage everybody who's watching this live stream right now, everybody that's watching this, try and invite 5 people in here. If each one of you invited 5 people in, we're at 50 right now, we'd be at 250 in about 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. That is the power of numbers. That's how this works. You just invite 5 people into here and boom, this thing will start to blow up. Now, as far as the format goes on this, we're going to transition back. I'm going to hand the baton back over to Dr. Tiffany. She's going to explain kind of what is the problem. What is the matter with all of us? And then we're going to start talking to some people. This is so cool. This is my favorite part about this, is talking to people who have actually benefited, right? People who have actually been healed. And then at the end of this, there's going to be an opportunity for you guys to interact with us and ask either myself questions or Dr. Tiffany or one of the guests questions. If you have questions, please, let's interact. That's the entire purpose of this. So I'm going to hand off to Dr. Tiffany. When I'm handing off to Dr. Tiffany, you guys invite 5 people, okay? And keep on asking questions. Dr. Tiffany, what is the problem?
Yes. So yeah, I got to pull up my screen because I figured I would take y'all to school tonight. I don't usually do that, but why not? We're really dealing with not just insulin resistance, but metabolic health. That's the huge thing. And it's a global concern. This is like an epidemic, okay? But the great thing is that really this can be reversed naturally. That's why you see these people making these changes and using these products that we're going to talk about later because it amplifies those lifestyle changes and is actually reversing things. Now, diabetes, when you take a snapshot looking at that, look at how many people are dealing with diabetes. About 1 out of every 10 people. And then 1 out of every 4 don't even know. And then let's not even deal with pre-diabetes. That's the precursor to diabetes, because now we have to give that a term. I mean, 10 years ago, pre-diabetes wasn't even a thing. But now it's a thing because we need to, because so many people ended up with this condition that has all these other awful secondary issues. So 9 out of 10 don't even know they have pre-diabetes either. And 1 out of 3 actually have it. And then when you look at the heart disease risk, I mean, really, that's why this is the thing that's killing us. This is the #1 cause in the US that's killing us, is this right here. And this is preventable with some lifestyle changes. And you look at the global health crisis and how this is spreading all over the world. So not just the US, everywhere. And these numbers are estimated to just get worse as we get into 2040. So when we have all these people on the call, the first thing I like to know is how many people know anyone with any of these conditions, or if you have them yourself. I know I cannot go to a family reunion without tripping over somebody who's dealing with one of these, having an amputation in their feet, dealing with their eyesight issues, having that big gut that they've been trying to lose forever, or dealing with fatty liver disease. Yeah. And at the root of all those things is insulin resistance. Yeah, and I'm gonna go back to that slide again, because do you see all that? That's a lot of stuff. Erectile dysfunction, migraines, osteoarthritis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, fatty liver, fat literally in the liver. And then of course, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure. I mean, it's a lot. But what is insulin resistance? Because, we use this term a lot because our eyes have been opened, but the reality is not that many people do understand what that is. So when we say insulin, most people are like, oh, okay, that's what my grandmother took for her diabetes. Yeah, she took the hormone, the exogenous hormone, something outside of her body, insulin. Insulin has a lot of functions. It likes to deliver energy into the cell. So when we eat, it's what allows that to get the glucose into the cell. So we use it. But if there's extra glucose floating around, then it stores it as fat. So it helps to regulate those blood sugar levels. And then what is insulin resistance? It's the point at which your cells stop responding to insulin, not as well. And what causes it? Having too much insulin in the bloodstream. That's one. Hyperinsulinemia would be the term for it. And then the things we eat and drink. Yeah. When you're eating a 74% carbohydrate diet, that's a lot of sugar. So that's going to make you have to release more insulin. So it's going to give you too much insulin. And then what happens when you have those high carbohydrate foods? You get that blue line there. Okay. That's the jump in your glucose, right? And then your body has to release insulin to bring that down, but it shoots it up so fast that your glucose comes down too quickly. And that's why you get that danger zone, that red zone where that blood sugar falls. That's what I like to call the itis. That's when you're at these family events and everybody in the room is on the couch going to sleep or went to their bedroom because they had too many carbohydrate foods and their sugars dropped too low. And so what do we do about this? Because I'm not the person who loves to do the doom and gloom talk. There's 5 things you can do immediately. 1, having your lower carb foods, which is great. And there's a great site on the University of Sydney's website that helps you pick out lower glycemic index foods. So you don't have to give up your carbohydrates entirely, but you do need to choose the lower glycemic index ones, and they don't need to be the star on your plate. And then avoiding processed carbs, you need to get that up. Nobody needs to be eating that. Nobody. I don't care if you don't have anything on that list that I showed before, you don't need to be eating it. Exercise with resistance training, huge. So not just cardio. And then having a high fiber, getting more of your fiber in, preferably your veggies. And then I have my people that don't eat veggies, but that's what these products help us do. And time-based eating. The great thing is we have products that help us do all 5 of these. So they just amplify these things that are going to make us or help us reverse those conditions. And then they give something to people who aren't ready to do all these things yet. So I think I shortened that enough because I didn't want to make this too much of a class.
You know what? I love that. I mean, that you talk about what is the problem, right? Insulin resistance. You talk about what it causes. What gets me is how many different things it causes. How many different things are in there? And then I start talking to people like Myra from last week. The number of things that like, and by the way, guys, all of these are being saved here on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. Go back and watch last week's episode or episodes. Is that what we're calling episodes?
Yeah.
I just called it an episode. Yeah, go back and watch that and listen to Myra and listen to Andy and listen to the people that have been on here and given theirs. And it's amazing. It really is amazing. All of the things that people are being healed. And that's just the best way to put it, right? Being healed. We have a good friend of ours, Yvette, right? And Yvette has been in the medical field for years and years and years. And she has a saying, I've not seen healing like this before. I've never seen healing like this before. And I believe you've even said that to me before. That's powerful.
It is. It's
powerful.
Yes.
Dr. Tiffany, I would love to get Johnny up here, but I don't really know Johnny. Johnny, came across you. So I'm going to go ahead and take myself out of the image, and I'm going to bring Johnny in and have you introduce Johnny. So why don't you go ahead and set up Johnny here?
Yes. You know what I love about this protocol is it links so many people together because so many people can benefit from what this program can do, this 3-step program to do. So I'm excited that I've been able to meet Johnny Grandison. I mean, you're talking about a smart guy. This guy is smart. So you can't just pull the wool over his eyes with nothing. You can't just tell him, do this, it's going to work. No, he had to test things out. And I love that. It's that skepticism that allows us to prove that these things are actually working for people. And not only that, he has the consistency. He's a hard worker. I mean, he's the best person to be able to put on this program, but eloquently speaks and talks about all these things and how they've helped him and been able to help others. So I'm so excited to have you here, Johnny. Can't wait to hear your story. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's definitely good to be here. So I want to thank you for having me. So for me, I think it was pretty unique just how it came about, just because of the fact that, I think I've been in this space for so long. It just made, just kind of sense how it kind of fell out. Because there's some things that you thought were, working for you and you thought you were doing well, and until you realize it. I tell people you don't know until what you don't know. It kind of happened where, we have some friends of ours that have been in the same health space with us for so many years, almost 20 years. And we were already in a regimen. We were already living a somewhat healthy lifestyle. So we thought, and didn't really think anything was really wrong. I didn't have any real diagnoses. 6'1", was almost 250 pounds. But, in terms of athleticism, in terms of energy, I thought things were okay. I knew I had some challenges. I knew I had some things that I can improve upon. But, mentally wise, I was still alert and just didn't think things were really in that big a deal, just because of the health regimen we were already doing. And so we had a friend of ours who was kind of like, hey, Johnny, Beverly, I think I have something for you that you might want to just take a look at, because it's really making tremendous differences in the communities which we serve. And we're kind of like, okay, well, I mean, it sounds good. There's a lot of things out there, but we're all whole food. We are plant-based. My wife's vegan, and me, I still do some meats and some fish or whatever, but just somewhat healthy. And she said, no, you really want to take a look at this. And so it's like, okay, well, just give us time, just because of what we were already doing. And she continued to just share information with us, and she occasionally introduced us to some other friends of hers, and we were telling us their stories, and we're like, that sounds interesting. That's some things were happening. I was like, that is really great. These people are really having some great improvements in their life. Okay, so but time went on, and eventually she calls out. She's like, hey, you really need to take a look at this again. My wife was like, you know what? We'll take a closer look at it, just because we promised you we would. But, at the time, we really weren't all gung-ho about it. But we did. And so some other friends of ours had just learned about it as well. And since they were close to us, they said, hey, we're having some great results as well. And so we said, you know what? I might as well try it as well. It's not going to hurt. It's plant-based. And that's the kind of lifestyle we're already living. And so when I did, it's kind of like, okay, my wife and I's agreement was I can't change anything that I was already doing. So if I wasn't exercising all the time, couldn't do it now. If I wasn't changing my eating regimen, couldn't do it. As an engineer, I look at things in terms of having to be able to baseline it, so I know what I'm comparing to. If you're changing a whole bunch of things at once, you really don't know which of the one things really made a significant difference. So I knew enough to do that and say, okay, if I'm going to do that, let's do it. I'll take pictures. I'll do all those things, and let's just start. And so just living my lifestyle, doing the same things I was already doing. In that first month, I had lost over 12 pounds and like 2 inches in my waist. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, I really wasn't doing anything abnormal. So that was good. So I said, you know what? I wonder what happens if what if I actually exercise over the next month? So for the next 30 days, I said, let's try it again. And so just continue my same lifestyle and changing thing. Didn't exercise either. But again, I lost another 12 pounds. So in just that over a 2 month span, I lost pretty much 25 pounds and about 4 inches. And so it kind of makes it to where the things that I've been hearing, because our friend Marie introduced us to a lot of other people and just said, hey, just listen to their stories and whatnot. And I start seeing that this very simple protocol with just 2 products and one lifestyle, one protocol was making this tremendous amount of difference. And so we would just continue just like, hey, let's just see how the story continues to go. And they would tell us different information, and they would talk about how we listen to people talk about individual things: a heart disease, cancer, fatty liver, migraines was a big one, stroke, weight loss, diabetes. We hear them talk about those things, but as they talked about them, we looked at them as individual situations, individual diagnoses, individual conditions. But we never realized that all of these different things had a common denominator. They had a common root that was at the heart of it, and it was insulin resistance. And so as we start learning a little bit more, we're like, we know so many people that's dealing with this. Far often we would be in a room with people and we would say, hey, if you know somebody, or if you yourself have been impacted by someone with cancer or someone with heart disease or someone with dementia, we would say, stand up. And it would take a very short period of time. Either everybody was standing up, or if we had them standing up first, everybody be sitting down. And so we were like, just think about what type of information this really is. If this is something that's really helping people with this type of impact so often, so consistently, and with such ease, this really can help change the lives of not only just the people we know, but the lives of other people as well. So for us, that was, it was kind of significant just because of the space where we, I didn't have any major diagnoses. And so we thought we were already doing that. And I even think about some of the men in our lives whereby women tend to outlive men just because of lifestyle, because of different things. And I was like, okay, if it made this such a big difference in my life, what difference can it make in other men's lives? I knew. And as my wife heard the information, they talked about skin tags. I didn't realize those even had any real name to them. I just thought they were little moles just because we would see them in some of our older generations. But my wife took another look at that. She's like, hey, I'm starting to see these things too, whatever. And so she started the regimen, and in a very short period of time, she had great results. And so we, in addition to just seeing other people and hearing stories of other people, we got a chance to actually see it for ourselves that these 2 products and this one simple protocol of intermittent fasting really made that type of difference in people's lives. And so we just couldn't help ourselves but to share it with others, and it's been making a great impact ever since.
Yes. Okay, so I didn't want to do my whole pom-pom and be too loud, but did y'all see them pictures? I mean, I love it because it wasn't like, let me just dive all in because of the skepticism. I think that's real. That's real talk. The real talk is I'm just going to actually do a random controlled placebo trial. That's what I'm going to do myself. That's what a smart person does. See what I tell y'all? Didn't I tell y'all he was smart? That is the point. And when you see those results, what do you say to that? What do you say? I love it.
Yeah, and I look at it as, people who have been dealing with something for years or even decades. When they start having relief, how do you put a price tag on that? For someone who, the doctors pretty much said, this is what's going to be the situation. And I remember myself, because I've been diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And I remember being in the office where the doctor said, okay, I want you to take this medication. And I said, for how long? Because for me, it's kind of like, how do we get people off medication? That's always been my MO. And he was like, no, just for the rest of your life. He's like, I got diabetes patients that have been on the same medication. And he turns around and pulls his book off and say, yeah, we got this study that we're doing, whatever. And I was like, okay, thank you. And I just walked out and never returned back to that particular physician. But I understand that many of the medications are trying to emulate something that naturally occurs in life, which is why the power of whole-based foods and plant-based things, we find is powerful. Now, I'm not gonna sit there and say if I'm in a car accident, hey, give me a carrot. Like, no, fix me up and do what I got to do. But But in the interim, those things that we can do on our own to make a difference, especially when it's natural and it's something that's not necessarily a medication where you're going to be stuck with some side effect to it. Those are things I'm proponents for. And if I can help anyone who's been dealing with whatever situation they're dealing with, help better their life, that's what this is all about for us.
Yes, yes.
So I want to jump in real quick, and then I'm going to hand the ball back off to Tiff. But here's the deal, guys. If you know somebody who you think could benefit from this, if you know somebody who you think could benefit from this conversation, then you should be tagging them on Facebook. Tag 5 people. Here's the deal. I was talking to Dr. Tiffany about this earlier. Literally like 9 out of 10 people in the United States right now could benefit from this. And there's actually real numbers behind that. That's a real number. 9 out of 10 people are metabolically dysfunctional. And that's what this thing addresses. And that's why you see things with people like Johnny. The other thing that I wanted to stop and illustrate is if you did join this live stream by an invite, somebody tagged you, and here you are, and you're like, what is this? Tell me more. And it is something that you decide, hey, you know what? I do want to give this a shot. Get with the person who invited you into here. They have, see, that this company works off of a membership-based program. There's a membership program, and you get a pretty significant discount when you are referred. So the person who tagged you, they're offering you a referral discount. You join in through that person. So if it is something that you're interested in, get with that person, and they will tell you how to order the products. The company is amazing. They offer you a 90-day money-back guarantee. They will offer you all of your money back in the event that it doesn't work. So if you try this and you try it for 90 days and you're not satisfied, ask for a refund. But what we are seeing, as you're going to hear here, people who have lowered their A1C, lowered their cholesterol, lowered their blood pressure, lowered their body weight. Go listen to Myra last weekend and find out what the heck, how did this do that, right? But it happens. So Dr. Tiffany, talk to us about Johnny. How did that happen? What's the connection here? How did this happen?
Well, I mean, you have those, this 3-step program. You have the fasting. When you're starting to tap into the fasting part of this to where you stop using as much glucose because you're not eating, so your body doesn't have to make insulin, you end up making glucagon, which is another hormone that goes to fat cells and breaks down the fat cells. And that's how we get our ketones. So you literally start burning your love handles. That's part 1. That's part 1 with the fasting. Then you have the yerba mate drink that actually boosts this GLP-1 hormone, which we all have, but it's a hormone that helps us feel full. It turns off the food noise. It tells your brain you're not hungry. If anybody's heard of those crazy shots, Ozempic, Wegovy, those increase that GLP-1 at an astronomical level. So this does it at a much more natural level because you're naturally boosting it, but it allows you to get those results to where you start the shrinkage. And so you get that, you get the energy to where a lot of times some people want to exercise even more. So I get people to do my lifestyle changes. That's why I like it too. And then you get the decrease in the cholesterol. So I know we didn't talk about that with Johnny. And then the other part of this that helps with the shrinkage would be the fiber part, the 3rd step, where you have that it decreases the amount of glucose, carbohydrates. So it decreases what you're eating. So if you're eating something ridiculously fatty, the fiber is giving you, what is it? Food freedom. So my people who aren't quite ready to make those transitions or are trying the system out like Johnny, they can still get good results to where they still get the shrinkage and they still get the health benefits. So yeah. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and just the fact that, we look at insulin resistance and inflammation at the heart of so many different things is as that's coming down, just over time, gradually coming down, you see so many other side effects. I mean, or I just say effects, basically, and I listen to my wife, she's like, hey, you don't even have to use your CPAP machine anymore. So I think even things like that is big.
Yes. Oh, that deserves some more pom-pom time. That's awesome.
So, and I tell people, all our bodies are different. So we can't sit there and tell you it's going to do X, Y, or Z for you, but you make that determination. Your body is designed to heal and repair itself, and that's what it wants to do. And this protocol just really gives it the ability, gives you a platform for which it allows your body to be in a position to deal with just the normal functions of it, because you're not having to fight off the insulin that's sitting in your bloodstream anyway. So it just makes so many sense on so many different levels, and definitely want to encourage people to just to go for it. So they have nothing to lose other than their bad health.
Johnny, this has been amazing, man. I genuinely, I loved hearing your story. I'm glad I finally got to hear it. I've never actually heard it before. I'm glad I got to hear that. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and shut your camera off, but I'm going to ask that you stick around because I think at the end I'd like to bring you back in. And if people have questions for anybody that's been in this live stream, I think it'd be cool to kind of have them be able to ask you directly any of their questions. But thank you, Johnny. I really appreciate you. It's been awesome. All right.
Yes.
Okay, and I did see one comment just came in, and before I introduce the next couple, I thought maybe Doc, maybe you could just address this really quick. Ron Davis said, my girlfriend was taking the shot, was getting sick from it, so she stopped taking it. Now, of course, I don't want to illustrate that she just quit taking it because we want to talk to our doctors, but how frequently do you see people getting sick from those shots? And can you speak to that just briefly? What is that? Why are people getting sick on those?
Well, because it's boosting that GLP-1 hormone, which actually makes your stomach feel like there's food in there. And it's boosting it at such a crazy level and slowing the emptying of the food you do eat. So much so that, yeah, they did a study to where they saw food rotting in somebody's stomach for like 2 weeks later. So those type of things, and the constant nausea and the Ozempic burps. And you know what else is crazy though? I mean, it was good that this person talked to their doctor to get off of it. I have people that are like, I love feeling awful. That way I don't eat. Keep giving me these shots. I want to keep feeling horrible. So the mindset is scary with where we are in the state of where we are today. So I love that we have something natural that doesn't do all this crazy side effect stuff, getting people to be on feeding tubes or having to go to the hospital. And, there's been a lot of bad palpitations and nobody's hiding it. It's on the commercials. It's on the website. It's there. Nobody cares. People want to lose weight so much so that they don't care. And yeah, I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent.
You know what? What you just did was you just illustrated the desperation. People are willing. They are so desperate for a solution that they're willing to get sick. And every single one of those medications, if you go to Ozempic.com, if you go to Trulicity, it's like EliLilly.Trulicity.com, .Manjaro.com. Every single one of them on their webpage, on the main page here in the United States, has a warning that potential thyroid C-cell tumors, including cancer. And it really just shocks me to think that just illustrates the desperation of people when they're like, yeah, I don't care. Give it to me anyway. I'm willing to risk that. That's how desperate we are. That's amazing. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. I want to introduce our next couple coming into here. And I say couple because this is super cool. Accountability buddies, right? There's something too. My wife and I started this program together ourselves, and we kind of have held each other accountable. Like when I see her breaking the rules, I'm like, hey, honey. And she, of course, points it out to me too. There's an accountability thing to it. And when, you first start, the ability to kind of walk through this new valley together, it helps. It's very helpful. And this couple here that I'm getting ready to introduce, they are amazing. They inspire me. I met them through TikTok, and they inspire me every single day. So without further ado, Randy and Kristen, and I'm going to turn us off, Dr. Tiff. Randy, Kristen, tell us your story.
Well, back in 2020, I had a quadruple bypass. Everything kind of went a little downhill from there. I got put on a bunch of meds. And that was during COVID. So we were stuck at home for about 7 months with me recuperating and trying to do the right thing, which was very difficult at that time because there was no rehabs or anything else that were open. So I had to try and do the stuff here. But I started putting the weight back on from the heart attack. So I just started doing research. But before the research, I was, just doing what the doctors told me and taking all the pills that they would just feed me every month. There were multiples, big handfuls of pills that they were just take this, take this, take this, and I just didn't want to live like that. So I started doing some research and here and there, and uh, different things about cortisol and all that kind of stuff, and nothing worked that I found. Nothing worked. And then I started watching, scrolling through TikTok because I was kind of bored. And then I saw a video of a guy cooking a steak. And of course, I'm going to stop on that because, who doesn't like steak? So it kind of clicked a little bit. And then the guy started talking about his issues and what he was doing and what happened to him and this whole protocol that he started, and reversing his cholesterol and his high blood pressure and his diabetes. And it kind of clicked with me. So I just kept watching some of his videos. It was probably about 2 months that I watched the videos. And I finally brought it to my wife and said, I think there's something to this. This guy, I think he knows what he's talking about, and he's had these issues, same kind of issues that I've had almost. So, kind of nagged her a bit about it, and she didn't want to do anything about it, and she, kept putting me off. I said, well, just watch some of his videos, and I kept sending the videos, and then I would, with the For You page type of thing, other people would come up, and I'd send her those videos and just kind of bombard her a little bit. So it took about a month, I guess, before she said, you know what, maybe we should try it. And but we're gonna do it together. I said, that's fine, no problem. I'll do it with you. It keeps us accountable, and when one of us would do something, the other one wouldn't. So we'd kind of be fighting against each other. And okay, she's doing Weight Watchers, and I'm eating cheesecake. So it didn't really help. So this, as a partnership, really helped. And so within just a couple months of us trying the protocol on that, I started seeing weight come down. I started seeing my blood pressures level off. I started sleeping better. Um, all different kinds of effects that I didn't think was going to happen. And then weight started coming off too. So all in all, in 11 months of being on this protocol and me and my wife helping each other be accountable to each other, I'm down from 299 to 248. I was in a size 42 pant. Now I'm down to a 36. I still got some jowls, but that I want to get rid of. But that there's time for that.
We're in a journey.
Yeah, we're in a journey. So I'm off of 2 blood pressure medications, a cholesterol medication, acid reflux medication. My CPAP hardly ever goes off anymore. So I was just telling her over the last weekend, I think I'm going to see what it does if I don't use it for a week or so, see how I'm feeling. I'm sleeping better. I have way more energy. I'm out playing golf again.
Your joints don't hurt.
Yeah, my joints don't hurt. I'm just all in a better place. Very much a better place. So, and we started this whole thing together, and then she kind of took off on a tangent with it, and really started doing more research than what I did. So she knows more about all the stuff and the science behind everything. But I think when we're talking to people about it, I kind of railroad her a little bit and push her out of the way because I'm excited about what it's done for me. So I'll let you finish up with that.
Okay, so for me, I had been diagnosed with type 2 back in 2008. And so immediately they put me on a metformin. And, they tried to have me switch up my diet a little bit, but I can't say that I really followed much of that. And then through the years, I stayed on metformin from 2008 all the way through to March of 2023. When I finally went to my doctor, my endocrinologist, and I said, I don't feel good. And I feel like by process of elimination, we've determined that it's the metformin. They had tested me for ulcers, they had tested me for acid reflux, all sorts of stuff. All the tests came back fine. And so that was the only thing that I thought could be the issue. And so what ended up happening was at that appointment, he took me off and said, yep, we can take you off, but I'm not going to put you on anything else. I'm going to just see where you land. Now, I was still on other diabetic medications. I was on a shot and I was on a few other pills. So, but my A1C at that appointment had been 8.5. So I knew leaving that appointment that I was probably going to jump up with my A1C. So he wanted to see me back in May. And I went back and my A1C ended up at 11.2. And so he's like, all right, well, let's increase your glymepride a little bit and see where it lands. And my thought was, you know what? I was so frustrated because I knew where it was going to land. It wasn't going to do much for me. But I had been so frustrated that when he came to me with the video on TikTok and finding this guy that was grilling up the steak, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm just going to take these pills for the rest of my life and be miserable because I feel miserable and I feel lousy. And I'm just going to stay there because I was being a brat. And, when your sugars are that high, you're cranky and you're frustrated and you feel awful. And that's where I was at. But after watching some videos and like Randy said, on your For You page, other things start to come up and you start to see other creators that are talking about the same content. And I ended up watching other videos and seeing how other people's A1C was coming from 14 down to 5.9. And it kind of gave me hope. So I finally went to him and I'm like, all right, fine, we can try it. And so my fasting blood sugars in the morning would run anywhere from like 170 to 220. And if I'm being honest, it took me a few weeks before I even checked my blood sugar while I was on the system because I was so afraid of being discouraged and so afraid of feeling more defeated. So I gave it a good 3 weeks. I ordered myself a brand new monitor so that you could start fresh. And the first time that I tested myself after being on the system, it was 3 weeks and I was at 134. And I started crying because I couldn't believe that something actually worked. And so within a few months, my A1C went down to 7.1. And so I've come off of 3 diabetic meds. I've come off the shot. I am down 28 pounds. I feel better. I have more energy. And the side note too is that in March of this past year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I feel like this system, had I not been on this system, I would not have found the lump that led them to find the breast cancer. And I know that they wouldn't have done surgery because my A1C would have been way too high. And my surgeon said that. When he sat us down and said, okay, we're going to schedule surgery, he's like, do you know what your A1C is at? And I could say with confidence, my A1C is at 7.1. And he's like, that's great because anything higher than 8, I wouldn't have been able to touch you. So we're still walking out the journey. Yeah. We've got more to do. We've got more pills to come off of, but we're on the right track.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie. I heard you say that story, Kristen. I don't think I've ever heard Randy kind of tell it the way that you just did. I know that we've actually met and we've had a chance to shake hands, but that's a powerful story. It's such a powerful story. And what I've always loved about the story is I think that, and you know this, Kristen, very well. You were the skeptic. You were the proverbial. You were the person who was like, no, this is silly. And I felt like you were somewhat gatekeeping your husband. Like, no, Mama Barron, like, you're not going to get your stupid little TikTok paws on my husband. We figured out how to keep him alive, and that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. And now, I mean, where's he at now versus where was he at then? And it was a leap of faith. I get it. It was a total leap of faith. And I'm so thankful that you did. First of all, I'm thankful that you trusted me. But to have transitioned from the skeptic to now the person who I've heard you say that, this has saved your life twice by the fact that you found the lump. You wouldn't have You don't think you would have found it because of the weight. And then even if you would have found it, they wouldn't have done surgery. So
Right.
this has saved your life in two different. Okay, and that was your words, not me. And then, what is your? I don't know if you said it. Maybe you did, and I just glazed right over it. What is your A1C right now?
6.0.
6.0.
Because
Hey,
they took it
Dr.
right before
Tiffany.
surgery in April.
Dr. Tiffany, is a 6.0 a diabetic? Is that a type 2 diabetic?
Nope, that's a pre-diabetic on its way to no diabetes. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and take myself back out of this camera. And Dr. Tiffany, real quick, before I do that, guys, once again, these are amazing stories. They're very powerful stories. If you think that you know somebody who could benefit from this system, if you know somebody that could benefit from the system, make it a point to tag 5 people. Do that. Tag 5 people. If you were tagged and you're thinking, hey, man, I think I want to try this, talk to the person who invited you to this. Whoever invited you to this, they will show you how to order it, okay? That's how this works. Just talk to whoever it was that tagged you into this, and they will tell you how to order it. So with that being said, Doctor, I'm going to go ahead and remove myself from the screen again and put you up, and maybe you can tell us how all this worked. Why did this work so well for them?
Well, one, it works so well because you guys are so cute. I love the couples doing this together. In fact, when I get people like, I'm going to get my hubby do it with me, I'm like, yes, the accountability is huge. The community is huge. That's why us doing this, us linking together makes the difference because everybody's story is just a little bit different. Had to take some notes because you guys got a lot of stuff. But I feel like Oprah, but I'm like the reverse Oprah. You offer medicine. You offer medicine. You offer medicine. I am loving it. I love it so much. Okay. And this is really me. This is what I do. I even have patients. I do this with them too. But anyway, so what you guys did is you utilized the 3 steps of the products, right? And you did it with consistency. And that's huge. I mean, even with the GERD, I think it's great to even point out that acid reflux is how important taking that balance, that 7-strand fiber blend, that retraining our gut, that is huge. That is huge. For years, I mean, if you're somebody, I'm well over 40, so at least for 20, 30 years, I've been eating some crap, before we did the products, right? Before we made changes. Right. And your gut, those trains of bacteria have gotten used to that, right? Mm-hmm. And so putting something in your body to retrain that bacteria to do what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to help us. But because we've been putting a bunch in there, it's been not helping us. It's been adding to toxins. It's been making us feel bad. It's been making us feel tired, the constipation, the bloating. So by retraining our gut, you get things like getting off of your acid reflux medicine. Right. Huge. It also helps decrease the inflammation. So it's helping even with that inflammation back in your throat to where, I'm not surprised you don't need that CPAP as much. I can't wait to hear you not needing that too. We already talked about the shrinkage with the weight loss, but even the cholesterol side of this, how that fiber blend, actually what it does is it fools our body into thinking. So there's plant sterols in there, so plant cholesterol. So our body thinks, it's binding the cholesterol we're eating, but it's binding the plant cholesterol. So it's not taking it in. So that's one of the other ways towards decreasing our cholesterol, which is huge. I mean, there's just too many benefits. I had to write notes, like I told you, y'all had too much going on, too much. And then with type 2 diabetes, we already talked about, but one thing I did not talk about, what's in yerba mate is one of the bioactive compounds is chlorogenic acid, and that acts very similarly to metformin. But it doesn't give us the crazy side effects, but it helps us get our sugars down, which is why you see people drink their tea and their sugars come down fairly quickly. I mean, especially people on those continuous glucose monitors, which is huge, 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 huge. So you guys had great results. I love how when you have both of you here that you guys can check off every box. And then, I missed the thing. The heart disease, stopping the heart disease. I mean, that's what's killing us, right? I'm loving reversing that. And we have data on reversing heart disease, even with just increasing your fiber. So when you have something like our balance that does that on top of making some lifestyle changes, I mean, this is just a lot. I mean, I'm going to be bouncing up all night.
Okay, so we had a question in here. Here it is. Marty asked, what is the product? It's impossible to go back to the beginning of the live stream. Come on, Marty. I'm just teasing. Yeah, there's been a lot of comments on this. I love the interaction here. Guys, the product is the Unicity Feel Great system, okay? The base product of the Feel Great system is a product called Balance. That's the fiber that Dr. Tiffany was just describing. Now, Balance was actually developed in the late 80s as a product called BioSlife by Rexall Pharmacy. Maybe you guys remember Rexall Pharmacy? At one point, they were absolutely huge. 120-year-old company with a very established quality reputation. And that product, it's now in the United States. It's called Balance. But you know what? It's actually available in like 60 different countries. It's still marketed as BioSlife in other countries, but it's available in the United States and North America. So Canada, Mexico, and the United Kingdom. Let's see, parts of Europe. It's still called it's called Balance now. But anyway, that product, what we do really is it's a little packet. You just add it to some water and you shake it up and you drink it right before you eat your heaviest meal of the day. So if you're going to have a bowl of spaghetti, you would mix this up right before you have your bowl of spaghetti. Now, the other two things, Dr. Tiffany mentioned yerba mate. Yerba mate is a South American tea. It's been pretty widely consumed for the last 500 to 1,000 years. It is very special. Yerba mate tea has been shown to decrease body weight, it's an appetite suppressant, but that chlorogenic acid that Dr. Tiffany was talking about has also been shown to lower blood pressure, lower inflammation. It helps with lipids control and glucose control. In fact, Dr. Ben Bickman is one of the top metabolic scientists in the world. He's a professor of cell biology and physiology at BYU, Brigham Young University. He's in charge of the laboratory for obesity and metabolism at BYU. He has studied the tea. Now he's published research work on it. And he's gone so far as to say that Unimate, the tea, actually increases GLP-1 by up to 70% during a fasted state. So we actually have science. There are, more than a dozen clinical validation studies on it. Balance, BioSlife, has been studied at institutions like the University of Sydney, Australia. That's the home of the glycemic index. And places like the Cleveland Clinic, the top heart hospital in North America. So there's a ton of clinical validation study on it. In fact, Dr. Tiffany is very familiar with the PDR, the Physician's Desk Reference. They have occurred in there for quite a while now. Balance since 2002 and Unimate, I believe, since 2018. Dr. Tiffany, have you ever seen Lipton iced tea or Metamucil or something like that in the PDR?
Absolutely not. There's no Herbalife. There's not even a GNC product in the PDR. So yeah.
So to that point, if you've been tagged into this live stream, somebody obviously thought that, hey, maybe you could benefit from this conversation. If it's something that's interesting to you, like Marty, if this is something that's interesting to you, Marty, what you'll do is get back to the person who tagged you into here, who brought you into here. Get with them, and they will tell you how to order the product, okay? Money back guarantee. It's about $159 per month in the United States. If you're in Mexico, it would be the equivalent of that in pesos approximately, okay? The links that they would give you will automatically convert to your local currency. The links work in like 30 different countries. There are people all over the world doing this. It's not just a spur-of-the-moment thing here. Products have been out for 35 years, and they're available all over the world. It's just now taking off here because we've got doctors like Dr. Tiffany who are saying, wait a minute, let's try something new. Let's take a new approach. Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left. Just a couple of minutes left. I want to bring back in Johnny. Let's see if we can just stack all of the people up here. Yeah, how about that? And if anybody has any questions for all of them, I'm going to kind of press the accelerator pedal to get through us. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Tiff, the Conleys, Johnny? If you have questions, go ahead and ask them, and we'll kind of put them on the hot seat. And then Dr. Tiffany, elaborate. Just keep going. I've been talking.
Yes. Ooh, but I mean, I kind of just want to be quiet. Oh my God. And you know what? I forgot to even talk about Kristen. Okay. The cancer thing. Oh my gosh. What do we do with that? I am so happy for you. Actually having a mother, my grandmother passed of breast cancer. So preventive medicine has been huge for me. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to prevent diseases. My father had a stroke, died on his third stroke. This is not okay for me, having the same people dying over these conditions, that we can really make these changes. So I am just excited to be here at this time in this space with people like you all with these great results. And yeah, I let you talk because I could keep yapping because this is fun. This is fun for me.
Hey, Dr. Tiff, I just pinned a question here from Sharonda. please explain why the shots are bad A1C. And I'm going to go ahead and break that up for you. I don't think they're bad for the A1C. If that is your thought, is that they're bad for the A1C, they're bad for the A1C. But I think, let's say, why, Dr. Tiffany, why would the shots be questionable? Why should we be concerned about a medication rather than something like yerba mate? How about if I just go ahead and ask that form of that question?
Yeah.
And Sharonda, if that's not what you were looking for, then rephrase your question.
Yeah. So, okay. So the issue becomes taking something natural is always, well, more often than not, better than taking something that's been synthetically made, okay, fake made. Our body tends to respond to things that are fake made differently. And this particular medication is astronomically kicked up into a dosage to get that weight loss. But I do have diabetics. Now, don't let me get up here and make you guys think that I don't prescribe these medications. I actually have some diabetics that I have on these medications because they aren't willing to do any of these lifestyle changes. They don't want to hear nothing about this plant-based stuff. So I need to do something to get their sugars down, and it gets their sugars down. And I have some people on here for weight loss medicine. Same thing. I do. But unfortunately, I tell them all the risk. I tell them after about 12 months that decreases your muscle and your bone loss. Yes, I do. And I've been limiting the people that I'm putting on this as I get more and more aware and I'm more and more uncomfortable. But because of those risks, we want something that's going to get us these results without having all these awful side effects to deal with later. So is it the worst thing in the world? No, people's labs are getting better. But honestly, like I said, and in my beginning, y'all may not caught this. I'm tired of writing stuff where people look like they're getting better and they still look like crap. The numbers look better, but they still look like crap. That's not what I'm here for.
Dr. Tiffany, I want to kind of build on that, and then I think we'll wrap this up. We're right at that hour, and I really wanted to try and focus on keeping these to an hour. You just mentioned bone and muscle loss. I heard Dr. Ben Bickman, and I'm going to kind of preface this. I heard Dr. Ben Bickman talking about that, and he was saying that if you're a young male, a young, like, teenage, early 20s male, you have a potential of regaining that bone mass. But once you start to cross over into your late 20s, early 30s, as a male, you're probably not going to get that bone mass back. And if you're a woman, your odds of ever getting that bone mass back it's not going to happen, right? And then the lean muscle mass. Now, as I understand it, the bone loss, are we talking about, what is the type of, what did my grandmother? Yes, osteoporosis. And what happens? Elaborate on that.
Well, yeah, that's bone weakening. That puts you at risk for fractures. And they find out if you get too many fractures, like around your hips, it then puts you at risk for dying earlier. Decreasing that mobility is huge. We need our mobility. We need to get out and have our social connections and community. And anything that's going to limit us with that ends up leading us to the grave sooner.
That's terrifying. Now, when we say lean muscle mass, is that what we're talking about with sarcopenia, or is sarcopenia completely different? Can you elaborate on what is sarcopenia?
That is losing that lean muscle mass. That's exactly what that is. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream. I love this, and I hope that everybody in the audience loved it as well. I want to say thank you to Johnny and to the Conleys, both Randy and Kristen. This was an amazing live stream. I hope everybody got some good benefit out of this. We're going to do this every single Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm looking forward to our guests for next week. And come back and join us next week. If you have questions, this is an opportunity to interact with a real doctor, Dr. Tiffany. She's right here. I hope you're seeing that she's like a human just like the rest of us, right? She's a real person. She likes to interact and she likes to help people. So love it. Guys, Dr. Tiffany, what are your parting words?
My parting words. The reality is too many people are walking around with something that could benefit from this. So if you know someone, you need to share. Just share it. Share how this is changing the lives of the people you even see on this live, how it might be worth it. Because 90-day money back guarantee, you're not going to get that from going to see me, not from any doctor, not from going to the gym, not the food from in the grocery store. You're not going to get that. So it's definitely worth trying when you know you have these risk factors, even in your family. If you're dealing with these conditions, don't sit at home and do nothing. There's something out there that can actually help that shouldn't give you those same types of side effects, and you feel better doing it.
I love it. All right, guys. You guys have a wonderful night. We'll see you next week.